The wisdom of Mahosada and the king's awakening long ago. In the kingdom of Videha, there lived a king who relied on several ministers for guidance. Among them were Sanaka, Pukusa, Kaminda, and Devinda. But though they appeared wise, their hearts were filled with jealousy. They envied the brilliance of the young sage Mahosada, whose wisdom surpassed them all. Unable to compete with him, the four ministers devised a cruel plot. They secretly stole 4 precious royal treasures: the ruby diadem, the golden slippers, the woolen blanket, and the golden footstool, and hid them in places that would make it seem as though Mahosada had taken them. When the treasures were discovered, the king was furious. Without careful investigation, he ordered Mahosada's arrest. But Mahosada, understanding the danger of facing an angry king, quietly went into hiding. Fortunately, his wife Amaradevi was no ordinary woman. She was clever and fearless. Using her intelligence, she uncovered the truth and exposed the 4 ministers as the real thieves. To shame them, she had their heads shaved and presented them before the king like disgraced monkeys. At last, Mahosada was cleared of all charges, yet by then he had already disappeared. A kingdom without wisdom, with Mahosada gone, the palace changed. There was no one left who could speak with true wisdom. Dishonest people gained influence, and the king, though powerful, became increasingly lost in poor judgment. Seeing this, the guardian goddess of the royal parasol decided to intervene. One night, she appeared before the king in a dream and asked him 4 difficult riddles. Startled, the king could not answer a single one. The next day, he summoned his ministers, but they too were helpless. Ashamed of their shaved heads, they hesitated to appear in court, so the king sent them special caps to cover themselves. It is said this was the beginning of ministerial headwear. Even with their pride hidden, their ignorance could not be. They scratched their heads, adjusted their turbans, and argued among themselves, but not one could find an answer. The entire day passed in failure. The goddess's rebuke that night, the goddess returned. "Great king," she said sharply, "have you found the answers?" When the king admitted he had not, she rebuked him with powerful metaphors. "You are like a man searching for fire while the fire is already beside him. Instead, you chase fireflies and try to light a flame from them. How could that ever work?" She continued, "You seek wisdom from fools. These ministers are like fireflies, not fire. How can truth come from them?" Then she gave another example. "If you want milk, you must milk the cow's udder, not pull its horns. Yet you are doing exactly that, seeking answers in the wrong place." Her message was clear. Only Mahosada possessed true wisdom. She warned the king, "If you do not find him and answer my riddles, I will strike your head with an iron rod." Terrified, the king finally realized his mistake. The search for Mahosada, the king immediately sent messengers in all directions, offering 1,000 pieces of silver to anyone who could find Mahosada. One messenger, traveling south, found a clue: a stranger working in a humble pottery workshop. There, covered in mud, eating simple barley cakes, was Mahosada himself. He had chosen this lowly life on purpose, to avoid suspicion and prove he had no desire for power. When the messenger mocked him for his poverty, Mahosada calmly replied, "This hardship is my path to peace. If I lived in comfort, the king would only fear me more." When summoned back to the palace, Mahosada accepted, but instead of keeping the reward, he gave all the silver to the potter who had sheltered him. Then, still covered in mud, he returned to the king. The return of wisdom, the king, relieved but still uncertain, tested Mahosada. "Why did you not harm me even when you had the chance?" Mahosada answered gently, "True wisdom never harms others for personal gain. A wise person does not act out of desire, anger, ignorance, or fear." He explained the 4 wrong paths: acting from favoritism, acting from anger, acting from ignorance, acting from fear. A ruler must not follow these. He said, "He must investigate carefully before making decisions." He added, "One should never destroy the tree that gives them shade. Your Majesty has supported me. I would never betray you." Hearing this, the king's doubts disappeared. The riddles begin. Finally, the king said, "A goddess has asked 4 riddles. No one could answer them. Only you can." Mahosada nodded calmly. "Please ask them." The first riddle was, "Who strikes with hands and feet, even hits the face, yet is loved more and more because of it?" Without hesitation, Mahosada